Yo, what's good? Capital X, Guerrilla Republic Scandinavia co-founder, and yeah, we're gonna check out how we actually manufacture the Guerrilla Republic t-shirts. So come on in. No fancy factories, all homegrown, home done stuff. Alright, what we're gonna do is, this is the original Guerrilla Republic logo, AK-47. For those that don't know, the AK-47 doesn't mean like, you know, armed assault. It basically means resistance.
Yeah.
You've heard the saying, question everything. I take it one step further and resist everything. Most of the equipment, I am ordering it from the US, which is a problem because the shipping costs and the duty is severe. Most of this stuff you can't find in Norway, and the stuff that you can find in Norway is even more expensive than ordering it in the US and having it delivered here. So if anybody's asking why we charge so much for shirts, besides the fact that we make them the way we make them, it's because the equipment to make them is so expensive. And even though our prices may seem high, if you order a shirt from the US, by the time you get it shipped and you pay your duty, it's about the same amount of money. And the one good thing about buying Guerrilla Republic clothes is that by the amount of events that we put on for the, for communities, you can see exactly where your money's going. It's not in our mouths, it's not around our necks. We don't drive fancy cars, we take the bus. The tape is so that the areas that don't have this protective film, so the ink won't seep through. Alright, it's a process to get the logo on the screen. Basically, you have to take the screen, you have to wash it with a special chemical called degreaser. Then after you wash it, you let it dry. After you let it dry, you have this chemical here, which is called emulsion. It's basically like film. So you have what's called a scooper. Basically, you pour the emulsion inside the scooper. It's that color, and then you have to tilt it onto the screen, and you have to smooth it up, and it will leave a streak across the screen this color. You basically hit the front and you hit the back. After that, you have to let it dry for 24 hours. Then you take your stencil, which you print out, onto a special film paper. And basically what you want to do is you'll tape it onto this film.
Yep.
You position it. After you have your stencil on in the right position, then what you do is you shoot hot lights through it, which you can see in the back. There's the hot lights back there. Shoot down the light for about 13 minutes, and it burns the actual design onto this film. Everything that's covered in black stays soft. Everything that's not covered in black gets really hard. So after you shoot the light through it, you take it to your sink, and then with a hose, you hose it down, and basically everywhere that was covered in black just falls out. Alright, well, I mean, I was lucky that the basement just happened to have a sink, but, spraying on the screens, the water goes all over the place. So to try and, keep the spraying minimal, I basically made a washout sink. Water still comes out, but at least it's to a minimum. And it's funny, I mean, down here there's no heat, so it's like printing in the wintertime. I was telling you earlier, sometimes the hose would freeze on the outside. I was trying to work, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark. I'm taking buckets of hot water, going outside and dumping it onto the hose out there so the ice would break so I can get some work done. So our screen's ready to go. We got two different beds, small bed and a big bed. We're going to use the bigger bed today. pretty close right there. That's about it right there. This here is pallet adhesive. This is so your shirt sticks to the pallet, so when you lift up, basically stays in the same spot, so you can hit it twice and it'll sit exactly where it's supposed to, not move around. Now the tricky part, getting the shirt onto the pallet straight. Try and even it out. Takes time, but you want to get it set, so you only get one shot. I put this bar here so I can get a firm bed.
Yep.
We have two different kinds of inks that we use here. We have this one, which is water-based. So it basically washes off pretty easy with water until you treat it into the fabric. And we also have this ink over here, which is plastisol. It's a little bit more difficult to work with. Alright, so we're ready to go. Basically what we want to do is we want to lift this up and we want to call what's flooding. Basically make sure that the stencil is covered in ink. That's our first pass. I'm going to lift it up. There's our stencil. You can see we got a skip there and definitely not dark enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some heat. I'm not drying it completely. I'm just drying it enough so the ink doesn't lift out when I go on it for the second time. Then when you take it off, I can use this to dry it. If I'm doing a slow run, it'll dry one shirt. By the time I print another one, then I just move it over. But to actually make sure that the design doesn't wash off when you wash it, it's got to be properly heat treated. It got to be 320 degrees minimum, so it'll stay into the clothes. This is a flash dryer. These are just made for screen printing. There's different ones. Actually better ones. Like I said, this one isn't the best one, but it at least helps to dry them. Now this will give it 320 degrees. This does not. This only goes about to like maybe 300 degrees. So just as a precautionary, what we do is we use special paper, and we'll cover the design with this special paper, and I'll iron every single print that I do, front, back. So each print I iron for 5 minutes to make sure that it's in the clothes.
What is this over here?
This is basically where I store all the screens to dry after I wash them, just to store them. Yeah, I built this by hand because I mean a stand like this would probably run you, who knows, $300, you know, 1,800 kroners. So I made it for like whatever it was, $30, $40. So I wanted to figure out a way that I can actually print on the hoods without risking, you know, ruining the hoodie. I made this custom bed, and basically I would remove one of these beds and I would clamp this one on there, and then the hood actually fits onto the wood, allowing it to stick down onto the bed, and then I could print on the hoods. So this is actually 3 different prints. It's the gas mask, it's the mission statement, and then it's the 1794. So that's 3 different screens, 3 different hits. And then you got the front, which is 1 hit there, the 1794, and then you got a smaller gas mask. All the companies that we buy shirts from, we do research on to make sure that they're not made in sweatshops. I definitely don't want to be selling clothes that some, you know, 9-year-old child made by forced labor. Basically all our t-shirts are Gildan, and at one time Gildan was also questionable, but they have cleaned up their act as far as getting awards now for fair wages. So that's why we use mostly Gildan shirts. Our goal is to eventually open a store. and it'll be a unique store because the clothes will be made right there on the premises. So you'll be able to go in and you can get something that's hanging on the wall or hanging on the rack. Or if you want something special like this, you can say, well, I want this here, that here. You pick out the style of the shirt and we can print it right there while you're there. Not only can we employ people to actually sell the clothes, we can employ people to make the clothes, show them how to make clothes, and also, encourage them not to just work for Guerrilla Republic and make Guerrilla Republic clothes. A lot of people that have started out printing for Guerrilla Republic branch off and start doing jobs for other people and actually making their own designs as well. They may still sell Guerrilla Republic, but when you see their stand, they'll have Guerrilla Republic and they'll have whatever, brand that they have made up. Try to do that with another company, they'll fire you. Nobody's trying to get wealthy, we're just trying to eat and feed our kids. Guerrilla Republic right now is based in Atlanta, Georgia in the U.S. and California. The founder lives in Atlanta. And he basically, he encourages people to, to join Guerrilla Republic, and you set up your own shop like so. They don't want you to just go ahead and make a shop and start printing. It's a trademarked logo. They own it. It's owned by someone, so you can't just start making it. You got to contact Guerrilla Republic. I basically met somebody who he's the president, you could say, of Guerrilla Republic, and that's how I met the founder. We started talking, and I had the idea to bring Guerrilla Republic out to Scandinavia, where I was residing. We talked it over, we came to agreements, and a contract was drawn up. So basically what they did was, they gave me a contract that gave me permission to print Guerrilla Republic apparel, and to start a chapter, get members, and whatnot. So there's two aspects of Guerrilla Republic. There is the grassroots movement of it, and then there's the apparel, which basically the apparel is what keeps us going. It generates funding so we can keep doing what we're doing. So contracted to Guerrilla Republic in the U.S., everything that we make and we sell, we send a percentage back. The money, our percentage, we of course put it back into getting more clothing, and we take some of it to put on events, so we can basically counter the mainstream, bring pure, untainted hip-hop the way it should be, to the people. And then it's the event, it's also, given to the community. Like I said, that's one of the type of events that Guerrilla Republic does. They do security. So they offer security for free. They don't charge. What they charge is let us have our merch table there, and then we'll run security. 30, 40 guys, you run security for a whole festival. Mm. The other one is they actually put together the events. The other one is they sponsor events. So they might give so much money for somebody that's putting on, a function, and in return, they get on the flyer, and they also set up a merch table. So they also do, besides the events, they also go into schools. They also do, community, where they go into the community and feed people, and they feed the homeless. All that money comes from, the money that's generated from making these shirts, making the clothing. And the other aspect of it's not just clothing. Then there's the aspect of it, the grassroots movements. It's, the mentality of, tapping into your warrior spirit, knowing that you can do, whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it. Yeah, it's said often but rarely practiced, And if there's one individual that, stumbles upon that mindset, I know I can do it, but then everybody that's around him, is feeding him nothing but negativity, eventually some of those people cave. One of the first aspects of success, they say, surround yourself with positive people and like-minded people. But when you join Guerrilla Republic, you automatically get surrounded by like-minded people that will always be there for you to help you, support you, and give you that push when you need it. That's the other aspect of Guerrilla Republic, the unity and the networking.